in counsel and in knowledge that we can find inside this book of truth. Now, the book of Proverbs is the best example of excellent counsels because it's a nice guide on how you should live your life and how you should do things. I know a lot of people that go, or I don't know them, I should say. I know stories of people that go to therapists to get cured, and it doesn't help them. They go to therapy for years and years and years, and if anything, they get worse. All right? The counsel that they're getting is not true. It's not truth, and it's not helping them. Where I know people who turn around, they give their life to Jesus, they get saved, and they turn to the Bible, and it helps them. It heals them. They're able to share the good news and the good things with other people. And just the world gets turned around because they think this is an old book and it doesn't know what it's talking about. But it's true. And not only that there's tons of excellent counsels, but there's also excellent knowledge in this book. There is so much knowledge in this book, it doesn't compare to anything else. There is so much scientific truths that are in here. Now, I'm not saying that there is scientific evidence and like the processes of things, but there are facts in here that perfectly line up with what science can prove today. Like in Genesis 1:1, the earth was created in 6 days, and the order that they were created in perfectly lines up with the evolution's theory that they can think of, because it's the only way that would work, right? Is the way that God did it. And God doesn't show the process because you got to remember, he's telling men who are like us, who are simple men, they're writing it down, but they don't understand the complex science and orders that we have discovered. Right? They're simple men. They're trying to explain it the best they can. And back then, the Bible went against what the common belief was. Many religions back then believed that the earth sat on something because that everything sits on something. That's how gravity works. But in Job, here, we can turn to it. In Job 26:7. Okay, Job 26:7. He stretched out the north over the empty place and hangeth the earth upon nothing. Right? Like, that's the best way you can describe it if you know nothing about science and you don't know that the earth is a ball and it's floating. Like, if you don't know those things, how are you going to describe it? Well, it's floating on nothing, right? Right? So there's so many more truths and scientific truths in this book. It's unbelievable. Like, for example, the life is in the blood. In Leviticus 17, you can turn there if you'd like. Leviticus 17, verse 11. All right. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your soul, for it is the blood that maketh the atonement for the soul. So not only does the blood give us our life, it also sustains the body. It gives it oxygen, hydration. It also is what protects it from infection. All right. Now, years ago, people thought that the blood was the sickness and that the sickness was in the blood, so they would drain the blood. And that killed a lot of people. But we can see clearly the Bible, it's right again. It's right there. Life is in the blood. And not only that, but it points to Jesus' sacrifice that will come, right? In verse 11 right there. It will to make an atonement for your soul. All right, the importance of the blood. And also in Psalms 103:12. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us. So it's a really good thing that it is not north to south, because north to south is a finite distance. You know the distance. We know it's I think it was 12. It's like 12,400 miles or something like that from north to south. Or if you're communist, it's like 20,000 kilometers or something. I don't remember what it is. But as far as east is from to west, that's an infinite distance. So there we can see the Bible is right again. Simply enough, put it right there. And not only is it right about the scientific truth that there is, but it's also pointing to the, how would I explain it? The greatness of God's gift, the greatness of his love that he gave for us. All right. And, we're here. Let's go here. Not only that, but in, let's see, Psalms 8:8. The fowl of the air and the fish of the sea and whatsoever passes through the paths of the sea. So there was a man named Matthew. I don't remember how to say his last name, but he was a Christian. And when he got sick, he was bedridden for a while, and he had his daughter reading him the Bible, and she came across this verse and read it to him. And by his faith, he said, if God heals me, I will go and find the paths of the sea. And he was the man that discovered the currents and the ocean currents and the seas. And because of his discovery, they were saved time and money on shipping stuff across the oceans. But it was because of his faith and the book of truth that led him to discover the paths of the sea. There are some people that compromise, and they believe that, well, God used the theory of evolution to create the world. Well, we know that is not true, because if that is true, then death was around before sin. But the Bible clearly shows us in Genesis 1 and 2 and that he created everything, and that death wasn't a thing until they sinned. Death is the consequence of sin. So anybody who believes that is strictly wrong. Let's see, where am I at? Okay, my second point is to know the certainty of truth. We should desire to know the truth and the facts that are stated in this book. We can be certain and absolute about the Bible based on the truths that it contains. God is the God of truth. He created everything in his image, and he gave us a mind so we can comprehend and we can look at the evidence and we can know what is true based on the facts and the proof that we see. Many people go through life based on feelings, and their feelings affect what they believe, and they're tossed around with whatsoever doctrine they hear and whatever they feel like just because they feel like it's right. But the best way I can describe the certainty of truth, the truth in your life is like an anchor that holds you in place when your feelings are like the water's waves, right? Your feelings come up and they go down, and the currents will carry you wherever you want to go. Well, the truth is like an anchor that keeps you where you need to be, that keeps you planted where you need to be. If Jonah wouldn't have acted on his feelings and got on that boat and lifted the anchor and sailed away to run from God, he wouldn't have found himself in a storm, and he wouldn't have found himself in what he describes as hell. He wouldn't have found himself in a terrible situation if he wouldn't have acted on his feelings and just did what God wanted him to do. So to know is to study and learn, to understand it, all right, and to form convictions about something. You don't truly know something unless you build this kind of conviction about it. Xander, he knows a lot about history. Grace knows a lot about history. When people say false history, it makes you mad because you have a conviction about them getting it right. It needs to be true. Same goes for anything. Electricians out there, when people don't, follow the code and it's not right, it's not done right, you have a conviction about doing it right because that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to be. You can't have truth if you compromise and negotiate with it. God deals in absolutes, in the world of absolutes. So God is true, and everything else he doesn't associate with because he only cares about what's true. God is the truth, and on either side there's false, right? Now, just because you're mostly true, but you got a little bit of a lie in there, that's still wrong, right? Most people will say they're sitting on the fence about something. They're not sure about something. Well, if you're not sure about something, so there's that analogy about people sitting on the fence. So so one side is green grass, it's nice and pretty, and that's the side of the fence. On the other side it's also green, but it's not as lush and it's not as nice. Well, this guy is sitting on the fence, and Jesus is on the not so side of the fence. Like it's still nice and green, but it's not as thick and lush and full as the devil's side. And he's sitting on the fence and he's trying to decide. And Jesus says, well, just come over here to my side. He's like, I can give you eternal life. And he's like, just serve me and do what I ask of you, and love me and respect me and share my teachings. And all this can be yours. And then the devil says, yeah, but if you just come over here to my side, I can give you all of this. You can have this fruit that's growing over here on this tree. You can have all this stuff. Well, eventually Jesus says, all right, time's up, and walks away. And he's like, well, I haven't decided. I'm still on the fence. And the devil reaches over and grabs him and says, the fence is on my side, and drags him over. You need to be certain about what you know is true and what you don't know is true. And that leads us to my third point is that thou mightest answer. Okay? In Ephesians 4:14 through 15. Ephesians 4:14 and 15. That we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro and carried about with every wind of doctrine by the sleight of men and cunning craftiness whereby they lie in wait to deceive. God commands us to know what we believe and to stop acting like children. When you first get saved, you are to come to him as little children. Right? You're supposed to get saved as a child and then grow up, learn, believe, and stand for what you believe in. Know what you believe. Be ready to give an answer for what you believe. You have to mature. It would be weird if Wyatt stayed a child, his family grew up, and everybody grew up around him, and Wyatt's still a kid relying on now his sister to take care of him because she's a grown adult, but Wyatt's still a boy. It makes no sense, but with Christianity, it's the only thing we're okay with doing that. Even at work, when you first start, you don't know anything, but you try, you learn, and then pretty soon you're teaching the next guys, and then pretty soon you're the manager, and then pretty soon you're overseeing the whole thing, right? Like it's natural for you to grow up and do what's right and to proceed and get gain and, and prosper. But the only thing we slack off in Christianity is we don't know what we believe. Oh, we hide behind, faith. We hide behind faith, right? I heard there was an analogy that goes, there was a whole village, their wells went dry, they hadn't had rain in years. So they start praying for rain. The whole village gets together. They fasted for a few days, and they started praying and praying and praying. And then they were going to meet together one last time to pray, right? And everybody shows up except for one kid. He shows up with an umbrella. That's what faith is. You need to have action behind your prayers. This kid believed that it was going to rain so much so that he brought an umbrella to the last prayer. And that's how we need to act in our Christian life. Andy and Michael have been teaching apologetics to the teens. They have been teaching what we believe and how to defend it. And I think a lot of adults don't even know what they believe and how to defend it. And the Bible also says, the liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall also watereth himself. So, and by spreading what you believe and sharing what you believe with others, you become more convicted about it yourself. You also get watered yourself, and you know more about it yourself. They say the best way to learn is to teach, right? And when you learn a new skill with anything in life, let's say you want to go learn golf, all right, and you have a teacher there, he's teaching you and you learn a new skill, but you don't know how to use that skill until you practice it and perfect it, and then you actually obtain that skill. So when people, like say, oh, I learned a new skill today. Yeah, you were taught a new skill, but you haven't learned it yet. You haven't learned it until you mastered it. You haven't learned it until you can defend it and teach it. And so my challenge is to find out what is true in all situations of life and then act on that truth, right? Don't compromise on your truth because they're family. Don't compromise on truth because they're your friend, all right? God says, because you are lukewarm, I will spew thee out of my mouth. But he also says to do it with love, right? We got to tell them in love. We got to tell them in, let's see. In Ephesians 4:14 and 15. I already read 14, but in verse 15 it says, but speaking the truth in love. All right? We got to stand for what's true no matter what, but we also got to do it in love. We also got to be kind. We can't get all defensive and be mean about it. All right? Do it with love. Show them that you care, and that's why you're telling them the truth. It also says that a soft answer turneth away wrath, right? So you have to go about it right. Just because you're right, but you start yelling and screaming, nobody wants to listen to that. Nobody's going to listen to that. You have to do it the right way. And the truth is absolute. In 2 Corinthians 6:14, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? We are not to fellowship with unrighteousness and to have communion with darkness. All right, we're supposed to be separated. We're supposed to be removed from those things. Just like you can't mix truth with a lie. It's the same thing. And that's where this book comes in handy. We can, as sharper than any two-edged sword, rightly dividing the word of truth, rightly dividing asunder. It cuts between truth and error. John 1, 5 through 7. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. And there was a man sent from God, whose name was John, and the same came for a witness to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. So, the same way that he was sent as a witness, we are also sent as a witness to shine light into the darkness, but the darkness isn't going to comprehend it. All right? So it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a battle. They're not going to know what truth is. They can't comprehend it because all they know is a lie. They've been taught evolution for 18 years. They've been raised in it, and they don't know what's true. And it is our responsibility to be able to be like, sorry, that's false. There's so many errors with what you believe. Here's the truth. Here's what is right. And it's going to be a battle. They're going to disagree and they're going to get mad. But as long as you're sharing it with love, and you're sharing it with meekness, and you're sharing it right, you're doing what God commands us to do, then hopefully they'll repent and they'll see what is true, and they'll believe, that they might believe. All right? So that's all I have, but just my points are, what I want you guys to know is that the Bible is full of counsel and knowledge. Everything we need is in here. And that it is certainly true. And everything in it is true. And then study it and learn it so that way we can share with others. So that way we can have an answer for what we believe. That's all, Pastor.